Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of the Stay in Touch Best Practice series, Communicating Safety, Marketing Your Hotel's Contactless Guest Experience and Commitment to Guest Safety. I am your presenter and moderator, Justin DeRisi, the content marketer here at Stay in Touch. So today's presentation is going to follow the 5-phase model of the guest journey pretty closely. So we're going to look at marketing your hygiene and contactless recovery policies, going through the inspiration and planning phases of the guest journey, through booking. We're going to look at what you can do while your guests are actually staying at your property. And we're also going to look at the post-stay experience, how to promote loyalty and manage your online reputation. We're going to start actually doing a deeper dive into the 5-phase guest model. We're also going to look at some basic brand objectives and some sort of overarching principles of marketing. We're also going to take a look at the new normal, what that is going to look like. So who's going to start to travel? Where will they go? What will their concerns be? In the inspiration and planning phases, we're going to look at how to remain relevant, how to promote your property, and how to allay any concerns about safety or hygiene. We're going to look at some opportunities that COVID has actually presented hotels in the booking phase. And then we're going to look at some model hygiene policies and the importance of contactless technology in the in-stay phase. And then finally, we'll wrap up with post-stay and how to improve your online reputation. So, foundational principles on the new normal. Okay, so we've gone through well, the travel industry has gone through something of a crisis in the past couple of months. In terms of COVID-19, and travel sort of bottomed out, but now things are starting to turn around. So localities are opening up and people are starting to travel once again. So it's important to understand there's sort of a dichotomy going on with travelers in this new era. On one hand, people definitely want to travel. So a little bit over a fifth of travelers say that traveling will be one of the first things that they do once the lockdown is lifted in their area. If you look at businesses, they often have to travel. It's really difficult to establish a business relationship over Zoom. And there are certain things you sort of have to do in person in terms of networking at conferences to get potential clients and partners. Millennials as a group are pretty nuts. They continued to travel even during the height of the pandemic back in the winter and in the spring. They've always been lured by low airfare and low hotel rates, and they have an inexhaustible desire for new experiences. So they're really going to be, I guess, leading the charge in terms of the travel and hospitality recovery. Safety and hygiene will be paramount, however. This will actually overtake price as being one of the most important determining factors of where people are going to stay. Hilton recently did a study and they found that 71% of consumers are cleaning more themselves and are more concerned with cleanliness in their own life. Stay in Touch also did a study of about 500 hoteliers, and we conducted the study alongside Review Pro and Fuel, and we found out that over 90%, so almost all of hoteliers believe that guests will be more concerned about hygiene and hygiene practices. Boomers are also crazy about hygiene. 78% are very concerned about COVID-19, higher than any other group, and 87% are actively promoting social distancing measures. This comes from the Morning Consult. Travel itself will be more local and travelers will be more loyal. You're going to see less international travel, less travel to urban destinations. You're going to see a lot more travel to rural destinations. You're going to see a lot more, weekend road trips. RVs are actually making a comeback, believe it or not. The upshot of this is that travelers are going to want to stick with brands that they know, and they're going to want to stick with locations that they know. You know, travel could potentially be dangerous now. You really have to focus on hygiene. You really have to focus on cleanliness if you want to be safe. Okay, so some basic foundational themes of marketing that we're sort of going to carry on throughout the entire presentation. So one is authenticity, right? So speaking in your own voice. This means really focusing on your hotel's unique selling points, but also focusing on your hotel's unique personality. If you have a quirky boutique hotel, you might not want to advertise an enhanced cleaning regimen by suddenly sounding very, very clinical and overly professional. Brand coherence is really important. You want to maintain a consistency of message throughout all of your different channels and in all of your communications. It's also really important to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. If you're talking about having enhanced cleaning procedures, you better actually have enhanced cleaning procedures, and you better really focus on making sure that everything is sparkling, both figuratively and literally. Accountability is really important. It's one thing just to say that your hotel is clean, but if you can have an objective third party actually confirm that it's clean, you get a lot more trust from your consumers. We're going to see later on that sort of actively seeking out partnerships in this post-COVID era is going to be really important. Message repetition is important. It takes about 7 times for people to really internalize a new message. If you're advertising contactless check-in, for example, you just don't want to put a message on your webpage or have a random social media post. You want to have a systemic message that goes through your webpage, through email, social, through physical media, so physical signage in your lobby, and even in third parties. So if you're doing thought leadership pieces or you have third party partnerships, for example, you want to repeat that message there as well. Okay, so this kind of gets more into the meat of the presentation. So if we divide out the guest journey into 5 different segments, we can look at how things have changed in the pre-COVID era and then the post-COVID era. So pre-COVID, if someone was thinking about booking a vacation, they would start with the dreaming phase. So here they don't necessarily have firm plans to book any particular vacation. They're just kind of passively gaining inspiration from social media. So let's say they're browsing on Pinterest or they're browsing on Instagram and they see a picture of a pristine beach with azure waters and a beautiful sunset, and they think, hey, you know what, I'd like to travel there. And so once they get that inspiration, they'll start planning out the actual vacation, right? So they'll find, they'll start looking at different flights to take. They'll start researching different hotels. Which hotel suits their needs the best, and which hotel can offer them the best price. In the pre-COVID era, price was very important. Obviously, you have different types of customers with different types of price points, but everybody wants to get the best bang for their buck. And in this region, or in this era, let's say, the OTAs had a distinct advantage. So, the whole point of an OTA is to aggregate a number of different rates, bundle that with airplanes and airplane tickets and maybe even, rental cars, so that people can get the best price possible. And in this type of environment, OTAs reign supreme. They succeeded in commodifying a lot of the hospitality experience. And to the detriment of the hotels, quite frankly. Hotels tried to recapture that during the stay phase of booking. So hotels focused on personalization, convenience, and high-touch service. They really wanted to give the guests what they wanted exactly when they wanted it. And indeed, they turn to technology often to achieve these things. So contactless technology originally was a luxury. So, people could check in through their mobile phone, people could order, amenities, upgrades, again, from their phone. It was a way that they could customize their own trip and do it without any hindrance. Finally, with these enhanced in-stay experiences, the idea was to sort of recapture a lot of these direct bookings, to have your happy customers share their experiences on social media so that other potential customers in the dreaming and planning phase will realize this hotel is getting great reviews and want to book there as well. Ideally, hotels would also want to turn their happy customers into loyal customers by enrolling them into loyalty programs so they can skip the OTA phase entirely. So some things have changed in the post-COVID period. The basic structure is the same, but there are some important differences. So in the dreaming phase, you're really focusing on maintaining relevancy and rebranding your hotel. So you really want to have people remember that you're here and that you have a great property, you have a great location, and that you're very concerned about their safety. You're very concerned about maintaining hygiene and a healthy environment. Planning, price is going to take a step back, and you're going to want to focus on reassurance. You're going to want to reassure people that it's safe to travel to your hotel, that your hotel does care about their safety. This is actually going to present an opportunity in the booking phase. If customers are concerned about safety, they're going to be more concerned about loyalty. If I travel to a hotel and I have experienced that this is clean and that it's safe, I'm going to want to go back to that hotel to begin with. Conversely, I'm not going to want to, literally roll the dice on an OTA, and where they'll put me literally in a random hotel so I can save 10% off my rate, because that hotel might not be clean. Flexibility is also going to be very important. I don't necessarily know if a certain locality is going to go back into lockdown. Maybe there'll be a spike in COVID cases, right? So I don't want to be locked into a vacation plan where I'm going to lose my money if something happens that's entirely out of my control. On the in-stay experience, hygiene, social distancing, and a contactless experience are going to be paramount. Contactless experience, as we'll see later on, is going to move from a nice-to-have luxury to a must-have. Similarly, in the sharing phase, during pre-COVID, if someone wrote a negative review and they said that the room was dirty, this could be embarrassing, but it would be fixable. Now, post-COVID, it could be fatal. It's really important to stay on top of your online reputation and to use any negative reviews you get to immediately plug any holes in your hygiene policy. Okay, so this is a pretty long quote by Phil Cordell, and he's the global head of brand development at Hilton. And I don't usually read giant quotes like this, but I think it really illustrates the holistic approach that we should be taking towards guest marketing. So he says, branding for COVID starts at the very beginning of the guest journey. As you think about getting ready to stay with Hilton or any hotel, we know that starts with the thinking and dreaming phase. It lasts through planning and booking, and then activating and actually staying. So from the beginning, we'll have a clean stay landing page that will be part of the messaging that guests see on hotel websites. As they arrive at the hotel, they'll see messaging from the time they walk into the front desk until they get to the elevators, including distancing decals on the floor and seals on the door. So this is a combination of both digital and physical messaging that is basically repeated throughout the entire guest journey. They can also opt for a contactless check-in through digital key in our Hilton Honors app. Incidentally, Stayntouch, you don't need an app. You can use it on any mobile phone that has a browser. Where the guest will experience this most is actually in their room. They'll see some things that aren't in rooms that typically were in the past, like magazines, printed materials, etc., that could be germ heavy. This is actually a best practice. So a lot of industry organizations have said to you need to eliminate extraneous objects in your room, right? Anything that people touch could potentially carry germs, and so the more things people are touching, the more germs are going to be around your property. That visibility of branding Lysol and Clean Stay, you can also get on the remote wrapper because that's such a high touch item. Eventually, each guest room will have Lysol disinfectant wipe packs as well. Okay, so again, this is sort of physical communication and also digital communication, right? They've taken the time to realize that everybody touches the remote, and so they want to put extra focus on that remote. They want to wrap it up so that you know that when you touch it, that this remote has been disinfected. They also included disinfectant wipe packs in the room. So we're going to see this later on with sort of mobile upgrades and mobile amenities. In the past, hotels had sundry shops where you could buy, a tie or a toothbrush or, aspirin if you forgot any of those items. Now it's a good idea to actually have almost COVID preparedness packs. So include disinfectant wipes, disinfectant spray, or maybe even masks in your hotel. It's just another way to let people know that you care about their safety and you care about hygiene. Okay, inspiration and planning. Don't give up trying to inspire, even if your area is still shut down. So I live in Virginia, and we are in phase 2 at the moment. We're going to be heading to phase 3 next week, which I am greatly looking forward to. But there are other areas that are still shut down, and there's still a possibility that there could be a second wave, and certain areas could be shut down again. Or certain areas that are open now could be shut down again in the future. The point is that if your area is shut down, you still have to engage with your audience. People are cooped up in their home, and once they're waiting to get out of their houses, they're waiting to get out of their apartments and go and explore the world again. The question is, when they do take that first trip, when they do take those first steps outside of their apartment, where are they going to go? Are they going to go to your property, or are they going to go to another property? You want to maintain, you want to be memorable during this shutdown. You don't want people to think that you're shut down. And you want a chance to build relationships with your customer base. Social media is your friend. So, again, referring to our study that we did with Review Pro and Fuel, a lot of hotels are cutting their budget, right? And so they're shutting down floors, maybe they're laying off staff. Almost 2/3 of hoteliers are slicing their marketing budget. And so social media gives you a way to get organic reach and very deep engagement with your potential customers without spending a lot of money. So I have the picture of Grumpy Cat up here, but not a lot of people know that the person who made Grumpy Cat is now worth $100 million off of various merchandise that she sold with copyrights from this meme. So if a random person with a funny looking cat can be a centimillionaire, what can you do with social media? So there's a lot of different content ideas that you can have, right? So the idea is that you really want to personalize your brand, you want to make connections with your audience, and you want to show off your unique selling points. So sharing photos, videos, or even virtual walkthroughs of your property or destination can let people who are trapped in their apartments know that you have a really cool venue, you have a very cool location. You can ask previous guests to share photos or stories of their stay, especially ones who are repeat customers or ones who left glowing reviews. This is actually a basic tenet of customer marketing. It's something we do at Stayntouch. So if we have a client who really likes our product, maybe we'll ask them to give to answer some questions for a short case study or write a review about our product. Something that gets them more engaged and lets them know that we appreciate their business and we appreciate their positive words. You can do some more creative things like sharing recipes from your house chef or drink ideas from your bartender or barista. If you have a spa or you have a gym, you can offer in-home spa treatments or yoga classes, meditation classes, workout routines. Again, anything to really engage your audience. One example, so one of our clients they're a small boutique hotel in the Northeast of the US, and they have a tapas restaurant on property. I think a great idea would be to have a tapas chef offer some ideas for tapas, right? So if you can get some customers cooking your tapas recipes at home, they're more likely going to want to visit your hotel to actually experience those recipes for real on property. Get your staff involved. So, you want to make your staff, you want to personalize your staff and, maybe share some of their backstories if they have some inspirational stories, or even something as simple as a Spotify list. Again, just more different ways to connect with your potential audience. It's really important to go local. Remember, people are not going to make as many international flights, right? They're going to want to do more road trips, more rural vacations. So, it's important to, really connect with local institutions, local restaurants. Arrive Hotels has actually perfected this. So, and they've been doing this before COVID. But one of their brands is that, they don't view their hotel as an independent property. They view it as part of a community, as part of a neighborhood community. So they actually provide their guests with a whole booklet, and you can access that on the hyperlink at the bottom there. But they provide their guests with a whole booklet that goes over local restaurants, local, famous drinks, quirky things about the area, different activities that guests can engage in. So really the idea is to make their guests an expert, a local expert, basically. And also, recognize the authentic branding. If you go to Arrive's webpage, they are very lighthearted. They have kind of a quirky feel. They have kind of jokes and humorous asides on their webpage, and that's also reflected in their booklet. Inspiration phase, basic principles. Okay, so be authentic. Focus on what makes your brand unique. I've talked about that. Be positive. Don't mention COVID. Okay, so this is actually really important. 2 months ago, I would have told you, do mention COVID, right? 2 months ago, we were in a crisis situation. And when you're dealing with crisis communications, it's very important to be completely transparent and completely honest, even if you're conveying bad news, right? Especially if you're conveying bad news. In a crisis, what you want to do is earn the trust of your audience and let them know that you are doing everything you can to fix the crisis. We're not in a crisis phase right now. Obviously, COVID is still an issue, but we're in a recovery phase. And when you want to inspire people, you obviously don't want to have words and imagery that evoke fear, right? You want them to, to step outside, and no one's gonna step outside if you have fear imagery. So your posts, your emails, you want to emphasize things like curiosity, longing, unique experiences, togetherness. You do want to mention your preparations. So if you have overhauled your hospitality policies, if you've implemented contactless check-in, you want to let people know about this, definitely. You want to make that a major part of your branding, but you want to frame it in terms of reassurance, of enhancing the guest experience, of professionalism and expertise. You don't want to frame it in terms of fear. This is also important. It's really key to make sure you show people wearing masks and social distancing. So, we live in a new age. There's a lot of stock photography out there. Some of it is not up to date. If you are talking about how, you have this new hygiene policy, you're implementing social distancing at your hotel, and the first picture on your webpage is a bunch of people, hanging out arm in arm on a beach, then you're not exactly being congruent with your message. You really have to you really have to pay attention to these little details. Using visuals is also really important. We'll see this in a couple of slides down. You know, your hygiene policy is going to be complex. The way to do a contactless check-in can be fairly complex. It's really important to take these complicated concepts and digest them down into visuals, into video. It makes it more real for people. It makes a more lasting impression. Okay, so major brands are going all in for hygiene. So I've highlighted Marriott and Hilton here. In the next slide, I'll show you a whole bunch of other brands. It's basically every major brand in the world right now is switching over to emphasizing their hygiene. So for Marriott, I can't show you this video just because of technical issues, but I do recommend you go to clean.marriott.com and watch the video. It's about 2 minutes long. It's very slick. It really conveys their commitment to cleanliness within their overarching brand image. So when I think of Marriott, I think a lot of like airport Marriotts, right? So sort of like a business maybe pleasure brand. Their video is very professional. They go through, you know, sort of in detail. You know, you see people cleaning beds, cleaning, you know, door handles, elevator buttons, things that you wouldn't even think to clean that they're cleaning. They have a spiffy, it's this misting tool. So they're, you know, they're incorporating advanced technology. It's a very good video. Hilton, we're going to talk about throughout the presentation. We had the quote from Hilton before. I just want to point out the visual here. I love this infographic. I mean, I love infographics in general, but you don't even have to read the text on the side to know that Hilton has looked at every facet of this room, and they have a plan for making sure that every facet of this hotel room is spotlessly clean. And they've also partnered with Lysol, and that's really important because when you think of Lysol, you think of, you know, ultimate disinfectant. 99.99% of germs are going to be eliminated if you use Lysol products. So the fact that Lysol is signing off on this plan gives you additional reassurance that you're not going to get COVID in this room. Okay, so these are just the different hotels that have their hygiene branding campaigns. So you look at IHG, Hyatt, Omni, Four Seasons, Wyndham, Choice Hotel, Lowe's, Oyo, Margaritaville, Club Med. This isn't even the whole list. You can find the whole list on that Skift article on the bottom. Okay, booking. This section is short and sweet, and also has some good news. So before COVID, OTAs dominated the booking market. So you're looking at well over 2/3 to 3/4 of online hotel shoppers in developed markets use OTAs, compared with less than half who use hotel websites. 52% of millennials book their hotels via OTAs. I certainly do. Commissions have OTA commissions. They started in the 90s at, you know, maybe 5–10%. Now they've increased to as high as 30%. This is because of a commodified booking market. Guests were concerned with price above everything else, right? So this is changing. Price is taking a backseat. Guests are now concerned with cleanliness, familiar local settings, and flexible cancellation plans, all of which favor direct bookings. So some good news for hotels. In-stay experience. So now is where, you know, we've been talking about how to talk the talk. Now is where you have to walk the walk. And so if you are going to go all in to your to having enhanced hygiene policies, you really have to make sure that you actually have enhanced hygiene policies. Fortunately, there are a number of different institutions that have outlined best practices, right? And so these are scientific sort of series of guidelines that you can actually point to sort of revise your policies. Now, the AHLA is the big one, but the US Travel Association and the WTTC also have very well-respected very well-respected best practices. Each of these documents are something like 50 pages, but they do have some similar themes. So we're looking at promoting hand washing and sanitizer use. Also, we're looking at promoting PPE for both staff and guests. We're looking at putting hand sanitizer dispensers at every major employee and guest entrance. We're looking at signage, right? Communication is very important, constantly reminding people in the hotel to socially distance, to wear masks, to wash their hands, to, if they have to sneeze, make sure you cover your sneezing. Enhanced cleaning procedures with frequent cleaning of high traffic areas. So think the elevator buttons, think door handles, think the remote. Housekeeping staff should not enter guest rooms during a stay. So really minimizing the physical interactions between staff and guests. And this is actually where contactless technology can come into play, because if you have a mobile messaging service, you can limit that physical interaction between guests and staff, but you can do so in a way that maintains a, let's say, figuratively high-touch environment, right? So I can be in communication with the hotel whenever I want. I just do it through my phone and not through a physical interaction. Physical distancing for guests and employees of at least 6 feet in dining rooms, lobbies, training classrooms, etc. And then contactless check-in encouraged when possible. So yeah, so contactless service is no longer a luxury. It's really a necessity. And the important thing is that, we don't have to choose either or between an experience that is hygienic and an experience that's personalized and seamless. With contactless technology, you can have both. Remember, before COVID, we were marketing mobile check-in as a way to personalize your experience for your guests, to make the check-in line shorter and more convenient. So again, this is going back to the guidelines. This isn't just us saying it. Remember, having accountability is very important, right? Having third parties sign off on your claims is good, but you have both the ALHA and the U.S. Travel Association saying that you should implement touchless solutions, contactless solutions to promote social distancing in your property. So we look at an example of this, right? So think about the traditional check-in method, right? So you would go to the lobby, the front desk would be the focal point of that lobby. It would really be a focal point for people to crowd together in a giant line. You'd have to wait forever for the front desk agent to finally get to you. Once they did get to you, you would have a physical dialogue. You would exchange physical keys, maybe a physical credit card. Just lots of opportunities basically to pass germs in a very crowded and touchy-feely environment. In the first days and weeks of the crisis, a lot of hotels erected transparent screens to, put a barrier. And that's certainly good, right? Like anything that you can do to protect your staff and protect your guests, but they look awful, right? And it doesn't, you're achieving some level of cleanliness and safety at the expense of a personalized guest experience. No one wants to talk to someone through a screen. So you can actually create an end-to-end contactless experience with different types of mobile technology. So guest-facing mobile check-in. So this would be, for Stayntouch, this would be our Zest Web function. So in this instance, guests can check in through their mobile phone, right? So they book the hotel, they get a confirmation email, then they get a subsequent emails the day before check-in and the day of check-in, giving them the room number, confirming the reservation. Guests can do this without having to interact with anyone. They can check in the airport, they can check in on the way to the hotel, they can check in the lobby, wherever they want to do it. Contactless payments. Money is very dirty, right? There's a lot of people handling cash. Credit cards might actually be worse. If you think about it, you handle the same credit card over and over and over again. How many cashiers have touched your credit card? Do you ever clean your credit cards? I don't clean my credit cards. Contactless payments give you a way to sort of remove that touch point. And it's also something that's a lot more convenient to the guests, right? So I use PayPal a lot, or Venmo. I don't have to pull out my credit card. I don't have to enter in all that information. I can just click and then I pay for whatever I want to get. It's also a lot easier with contactless payments to enroll people into loyalty programs, right? So it's really a win-win in terms of convenience for the customer. It's a win-win for the hotel because they can put customers into loyalty programs a lot easier, and then it's also a win-win for public health. Keyless entry. Remember, again, anytime someone touches something, that's the possibility to transmit germs. So if you have physical keys, you either have to constantly replace these keys or you have to disinfect them after every use. Both of those are cumbersome and costly. It's a lot easier to have a keyless entry system where you can email someone, or you can transmit the key code to get into your room directly into your mobile device. And we actually integrate with OpenKey to have a really seamless integration for this part of the guest journey. Guest messaging is also really important. So again, remember, once people are in your hotel, once they check in, it doesn't mean they're going to stop having requests, right? So if someone needs housekeeping to clean the room, or they want amenities, or they have a question, or if they have a complaint, right? Previously they'd have to do that maybe physically, but now that you can message them directly on their mobile device, so you can have a high-touch experience without actually touching someone, right? Additionally, it's really important if a customer does have a complaint, or let's say there is a lapse in your hygiene policy. It's better for the customer to address that immediately than later on in a negative online review. So guest messaging is really a great way to increase your hotel's reputation as well. Okay, gain revenue while increasing safety. So, one of the things that both guest web and also our guest-facing smart kiosk Zest Station can do is offer people any number of room upgrades or amenities. So, obviously, if they want to upgrade the room to a suite, we can do that. They can extend their checkout, or they can get early check-in. I know the last day of every vacation I go on, maybe the night before I stayed out a little later than I expected, and I'm going to want to sleep in, so that monetized late checkout is really important. The amenities can actually take a really good, interesting turn in the post-COVID era. So, it's important to sort of think about hygiene when you're presenting amenities, right? So you don't want to give people things that potentially could be covered in germs. So like an open fruit basket, probably a no-no. Multi-use shampoo or soap bottles, you don't really want to do that. Even things like magazines or pamphlets. I know the Hilton mentioned that earlier. These can be conduits for germs. Conversely, if you give people, or if you allow people to purchase things like masks, things like sanitizer from their mobile phone, you're making their stay more convenient, right? Like I might have forgotten a mask, or I might have forgotten hand sanitizer. You're showing a commitment to cleanliness, which is good. And also, this is an opportunity to sort of partner with local businesses, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of people now who are creating, custom masks, right? Or, more fashionable masks. So if there's a company that's doing this in your area, you could have a partnership with them and say, hey, we will sell your masks on our guest-facing check-in application. And in turn, write off that, or sign off on the fact that we are helping social distancing. So another thing you can do is reimagine your lobby, right? So instead of having the front desk being the focal point of your lobby and having your lobby as a glorified waiting room that also doubles as a COVID incubation area, Now you can turn your lobby into anything that you want. You see a couple examples here. You can have different self check-in kiosks that are isolated, so that you can break up a line and also make sure that when people do check in, they're doing so sufficiently distanced from their neighbors. You can, it's also really important in your lobby to have signage, physical signage, reminding people to keep distance from their neighbors, having wipes by your kiosk so people can clean off the kiosk after each use, having your staff routinely clean your kiosk. Remember, this is a high touch area, so it has to be constantly cleaned multiple times a day. So this just reiterates some of the hygienic policies that you can have. When you have a self-serve kiosk, you can space them out around the hotel to encourage social distancing. Sanitary wipes are always good. Have a staff member wipe down the screens regularly. Okay, so this kind of is a summary of everything we've done up until this point. And we're going to cover the post-day period in the next few slides. But so if you look at dreaming and planning, right? So for contactless tech, so there's two big things that you want to communicate. One is that there's a new way to check into your hotel. And some people might be familiar with this, but some people might not be. So, having advertisements on your landing page and in your social media posts, advertising the fact that you have this new form of contactless tech can really it advertises your hotel and shows a point of value for your property, but it also sort of plants the seed in people's mind that, this isn't going to be a normal check-in experience and we're going to have to do things differently. In booking, when you send your confirmation email, you want to say, hey, you're going to want to check in through your mobile phone. You're going to want to have instructions on how to do that, and maybe even have like a logo or a symbol so people know, hey, this is a new type of check-in. So maybe you can have like a mobile phone and a little bellhop or something like that. Pre-check-in. So what you want to do is send pre-check-in emails directly to their mobile phone the day before and then the day of, reminding them of the mobile or contactless check-in option. You want to make it as easy and obvious as possible to choose the mobile check-in. Now, obviously, you want to present your guests with options. So if they do want to check in through the kiosk or they want to check in with a staff member, you shouldn't deny them that, but you can nudge them into the contactless brave new world. During stay, again, physical signage is really important. You want to reiterate your messaging both digitally and physically. So with hygiene, so you're going to have enhanced hygiene policies, right? So again, you're going to want to advertise this on social media, on your landing page. You're going to want to mention all the partnerships that you have, all the certifications that you have. During booking, you're going to want to have your hygiene policy in your confirmation email, also in your pre-check-in emails. You're going to want to link to a contact for any questions or any COVID-related issues. Again, you're going to want to have signage, sanitary wipes, physical screens and barriers where necessary and unavoidable, and then you want to point out the enhancements in your hotel. So think about the remote example, right? So, hey, this remote has been sealed and we also have a partnership with Lysol, showing that everything is spick and span. Post-day. It's really, really important to be on top of your online reviews, especially if they're hygiene related. Previously, if someone said that a room was dirty, that was embarrassing. Now it can be fatal. It's important to proactively survey guests after each stay to get a sense of where they stand. It's a lot better. Ideal situation is the stay is perfect and everything is clean. Next down is the guest notices that something is an issue, they message you through their phone, and then you resolve the issue and they walk away feeling happy. Third best is you send out a survey, the guest gives you a bad review, and then you have a chance to rectify that concern and mollify the guest. The absolute worst thing is if they give a negative online review. If you do get a negative online review, it's important that you respond to that review as soon as possible. It's important that you are highly professional and empathetic, and that you do what you can to rectify whatever problem the guest has. On the positive side, monitoring your online reputation gives you a chance to get happy customers into loyalty programs. And you really should do everything you can to make your loyalty program more attractive. So, you want to extend your change and cancellation policies. You want to have very flexible cancellation policies. You want to have better and more flexible redemptions. You want to have you want to extend your points expiration, and you want to have more points promotions. If you're a smaller hotel and maybe you don't have a specific point system, you can still craft customized loyalty programs using Zest Web. So you can bundle different amenities together and create things like a couples weekend or a sort of a family stay. Like I said, just remember to include some COVID-related amenities in anything that you put out there. So with that, that is all that I have. If you have any questions, we still have a couple of minutes. We're a little bit over the 1:45, but I will stay on a few minutes to see if you have any questions. Since I'm not seeing any, thank you very much for attending. If you do have any questions, I will put my email in the chat. Feel free to email me if you do think of any questions or comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them or point you in the direction of someone who can answer you. Thank you very much.